Alright, so now what I want to do is add some NPCs to my scene. I've downloaded a handful from Mixamo that I plan on using. So first of all, I have this zombie with a hospital gown. And I've downloaded these and I've already extracted their textures, but I'm gonna have to probably do a few more steps to get them working. So we will take a look at it as I drop them in. The scale seems about right for this character. I want this zombie to be outside the gate. Eventually, I'm gonna have to find a gate. Worst case scenario, I could like duplicate this piece and kind of adjust it to look like it's filling this, or even like I think the fence part is its own model. So you can see I could fill, like maybe adjust the scale or something to get that to fit correctly. But I'll worry about that kind of stuff later. So for now, let's keep focus on our NPCs. So you won't be able to actually walk up and talk to this one. I want it to just be like a fence, and you can interact with the fence, and the zombie will like growl or something. So it's still an interactive NPC, but it's going to have very limited conversation, we'll say. All right, so next, same thing here. I want to have this one. I don't even need a model for it. It's going to be a character that's locked themselves in. They've holed up and they're not letting anyone else in. I thought I fixed this, but I guess maybe I didn't save it. So whoops, I'll have to fix that soon. So I don't need a model for that one. Now I've got this Pete guy. I want him to be kind of by the gate, I think. And also I've got this woman Jody, who I'm gonna say, so Pete, we're gonna say he worked at this, whatever you want to call it. What do they have it described as? An industrial site. Yeah. So Pete was working at the time of the zombie outbreak, and Jody, and the names I've just used from Mixamo. I actually renamed some of them because they had names like, well, it said like it says Jody here. When you download it, it said something like character 17 or whatever. I went ahead and renamed it just to make it easier to understand what I'm dealing with in the editor. Anyway, I'm gonna say Jody was a jogger, and she started be like noticing she was being stalked by freaky creeps, which are actually zombies. So she ran in here to kind of hide. And so that's her explanation. And I think actually what I want to do with her is say that she sprained her ankle while she was hiding, running away or something. And maybe one of the characters suspects she actually got bit. And that'll kind of be some drama. And then the other one I want to use is this guy, James. Oh man, I messed that up. There we go, James. I'm going to say that he also works here, and he's like a driver. And I think later I'm going to try and find like a prop for like a car, like a van or a truck or something, and have it like parked like here. And we're going to say that the keys are inside, but we can't get inside because whatever the jerk guy who's scared and locked everyone else out and locked himself in isn't letting them in to get the keys. So that creates this need for the characters to hatch a plan to get in, get the keys, get in the van or the truck or whatever it is, and drive off. Maybe eventually I'll change this to look more like there's like a clear path out of the town. Maybe it doesn't matter. I'll evaluate that later. So I've kind of got my plan for my NPCs. I know that what I'm going to have to do with all these characters in order to get it to work is I need to make sure that they're set to, so I've extracted their textures and I've placed them and they all look correct, I think. No weird transparency stuff, no weird scale stuff, but I know that I also need to set all of their rigs to humanoid or my system isn't going to work. So I think I can actually, so Pete is already humanoid. I think I can hold control and select the others. So I've got them all selected at once, and I can go over here and choose humanoid and just apply that. And excuse me. So I think that should do the trick there. And then the other thing I need to do, so I noticed they're just going to be in their T-pose. I haven't added the NPC script to them. So I guess I can do that next, actually. So let's see. I'm going to minimize this thing. Maybe what I'll do is just make an empty game object. I'm going to call it NPCs. Just to kind of use as like a folder. I'm going to put it at 000 so that it's just kind of more organized, I guess. And I'm going to select each of my NPCs. And I'm going, oh, Shay's the player. Shay's not an NPC. Pete, there we go. So I got 4 NPCs here. I'm going to drag them onto this NPCs thing. And this is just an effort to help keep things organized. So now I can go into my NPCs, select them all. I think this will work. Hit add component. Oh, wait, never mind. This is actually not a component, so I can't do that. I thought I could just add the NPC component to all of them like that, but the way I've got this set up, actually we're going to have to add a separate game object to them, if you recall. So we're going to go into prefabs, find the NPC game object, and I'm going to put one on each of these characters. So there's one on the zombie Jill, there's one on Jody, there's one on Pete. Did Pete already have one? No? Okay. And then one on James. And this isn't a great use of my space, actually. Like, everybody's kind of like lumped in this one little spot. I should probably move people around a little bit. Like, maybe James will be over here or something. Oh, I just moved his NPC, but not him. That's a common thing you're going to have to look out for. Make sure you move the root game object here, not just the NPC part. Or you'll notice that the way that you interact with the character is by talking to wherever this like capsule collider is, as opposed to where the visual art is. I probably want to rotate them. Oh, look, again, I rotated the NPC and not the character. We'll have him here. He'll explain the situation at the door. These two are going to be the ones that kind of greet the player as soon as they get in. I don't know, maybe they should be kind of nearby one another or something. I don't know. All right, so if this worked, they would all be playing their idle poses. But I think I know of one problem at least. So here's a little trick. If you hold Alt and then collapse something, it will like collapse all the stuff here. If I hold Alt and expand something, it'll expand everything. So if you notice your level is kind of like a pain to deal with because there's so many objects that are all expanded, you can hold Alt and collapse everything like that. So I'll run it and just show you that it's not going to be working correctly. They are there playing idle animations. However, it's like I can't talk to them. And if you remember, like I'm supposed to have the cursor, it's supposed to be locked in here until I talk to someone, and then I can get my cursor back to interact. Or if I press escape, then I can, make changes to my game. But it's not locked at all. So that is an indication, actually. And if I look in here when I run the game, if I hit clear and I play it, I'm going to get some errors. So if you get errors when you run the game, the red ones which look like stop signs, that is a sign something's not working right. And in this case, I am missing the dialogue manager prefab. This is kind of tricky because the dialogue manager prefab lives in the Pixel Crushers plugin folder. But the reason I say it's tricky is if you were to just search dialogue manager which they use the British spelling for pixel crushers. Here's why it's tricky. There's two of them. One of them is inside of the demo, and one of them is the one that's like generic that we want to use. So you could just like look carefully and see, oh, this one's set up to use the demo. Oh, okay, this one is the generic one. Or what you can do is just navigate to it. So it's in plugins, pixel crushers, dialogue system, prefabs. Boom, there's the right version that we want to use. So we're going to drag that thing in. And now I think if I run my game, I should start to see like the, I think the barks are going to happen maybe, because I think I have those turned on. And also I should be able to talk to them, although that's still not working. But I know why it's not working. It's because I have no database plugged in. So I need to make sure that I'm using a database. So you might want to make a new database for your project, or you can use this one that I started. If you hit edit, then you'll be able to see like all the stuff in here, which you should look at the dialogue system tutorials to know what they're about. Eventually I'll get to it all, but I just want to confirm that I have some conversations in here. So I have the test conversation and I have the test barks. All right, so I am going to make sure that I have that dialogue database plugged in. And now if I click on one of these NPCs and I go to their NPC component and I scroll down, it's actually set up to use test conversation and test barks. So if I run the game, now I think so my cursor is locked correctly, by the way. We'll see if we start seeing some barks, and we'll also try talking. So talking works. I haven't noticed any barks though. Oh, there they go. Wow, everybody did it all at once. That seems odd. I thought that timing was meant to be random, but you obviously wouldn't want them all barking at the same time. I think that was just a weird occurrence of randomness syncing up. Let's go talk to our zombie. All right, cool. So the last thing I'm going to do in this video is, if you notice, again, with this issue with everything being in sync, they're all playing the same idle animation, which just looks awkward and strange. Everybody looks very static. So I set up a few different animation controllers that would work with our NPC script. So if I go, like, let's make, well, eventually I'm going to change Jody to look like she's hurt. So that'll be like a good example for our custom animations. But like this guy, we're going to find his NPC and we're going to put him on, actually, I think we got to find the animator controller. Where is that? On the NPC script, I think. It's collapsed, so I have to expand it. So he's using NPC generic A. The ones I set up are all these NPC ones with the prefix NPC. I'm going to choose toe tap here. I'm going to choose a different one for this guy. Maybe he's nervous. So Pete, we're going to set up as nervous. And the rest we'll leave generic because he's going to have a zombie pose. She's going to be injured. And then at that point, they're all not playing the same animation. So we'll use those as examples of making new ones eventually. But for now, I can kind of see that like Pete is not playing the same idle animation as these other characters. And in theory, James isn't either. I wonder if there's an issue with James, or if that's just a weird lighting artifact. It might be I need to adjust the James textures, or that could just be a weird shadow. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that too. Alright, so I'm going to stop this video here. And I think maybe in the next video, I'll either set up my conversations or I will set up these animations. I'm not sure yet. All right, see you then.